I was thinking today, like, do you think portable hole would have suction? Like, if you were to stuff a load of, like, nondescript meat into the hole, as long as the meat has the circumference of the hole itself, would there be enough suction or friction for, like, for pumping and stuff? Anyway, this video is brought to you by channelfireball.com. Use the code KENOBI at checkout when buying from their brand new marketplace or picking up sealed product to help support the channel and videos like this one. Right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. This is Black White Stoneblade, honestly, I'm going to use the word, and I normally hate it, a spicy deck list that came 7th place in the challenge from an MTGO user called Carnage Cards Ent. It's a black and white Stoneforge deck with a Reanimator package and the ability to abuse the Grief card from Modern Horizons 2. Honestly, saying a Stoneforge Mystic deck with a Reanimator package just sounds wild, and it kind of is. So let's unpack the 3 core angles of attack that this deck can utilise. First of all, we have Stoneforge Mystic. It was once banned in Modern because Wizards of the Coast were scared that a fair deck might rise to prominence in the turn 3 combo kill hellscape that Modern has often degenerated to prior to needed bans. Now that it is free, entirely because of me and my campaign for it, I am the one to blame, I am the one to take all the credit. No one else involved. It can now be used to give mid-range and control decks a finisher package. At first I was shocked to see no single sword like the Sword of Fire and Ice, and I wanted to just put one in because I'm so used to Sword of Fire and Ice being part of my package in Legacy, Death and Taxes to give us some way to draw cards off of Stoneforge Mystic in grindier games. Also, Sword of Fire and Ice does seem good in a metagame dominated by red and blue tempo decks with the new Monkey and Dragonblade Chandler and so on. However, there is a reason it's not in the deck when you really think about it. In this deck, Stoneforge Mystic fetches up Batterskull and Caldra because, well, our creature count is effectively very, very low. We don't have Dorks or Lingering Souls tokens to equip our swords to because this is 2021 and Lingering Souls is a decade-old reminder that time is finite and we'll all die alone. I guess arguably with 2 souls being made, maybe that's some sort of commentary on how in the afterlife we still get to be with our loved ones. Does Lingering Souls have some sort of narrative to it? Like a hidden narrative, not an overt one. I like that. So anyway, Living Weapon allows these equipments to be a threat on their own. Then we have the Reanimation package. We have a couple of discard outlets in Lily and Collective Brutality, but really the star of the show is Unmarked Grave, which lets us grab a non-legendary fatty and put it comfortably to bed in our graveyard. I really like this design space that they explored in Modern Horizons 2 because it meant that the de facto stuff like Iona and Grizzlebrand weren't the go-to options for this kind of deck. We then have ways to reanimate it with Persist or Priest of Fell Rites, or our Mize and Burial Rites, which is a cool piece of tech because it's a reanimation spell we can actually tutor for with Marked Grave and then, well, flash it back. The fatties of choice are Ashen Rider as a premium removal beater, Sarah's Emissary to be resilient to removal big beater, and Archon of Cruelty, which is a 3rd of cruel ultimatum strapped to it every time it enters the battlefield or attacks. It's literally a circus of value on a stick.
Welcome to the Circus of Value!
We can also Thoughtseize our fatties into our bin, I would imagine, in certain circumstances, but this didn't actually come up for me in my league that I played. Finally, we have one of the best parts of the deck and something that just absolutely overperformed for me. This is the card Grief. Many people got excited for Ephemerate plus Grief synergies during the lead up to Modern Horizons 2 coming out, but it didn't really find a home. This is the shell for it. When you evoke Grief to take a poke at your opponent's hand, it has a sacrifice trigger because of the evoke mechanic. However, if you ephemerate it to reset it, it lives as a new version of the object, a new copy of Grief that doesn't get sacked to the sack trigger. So we get to rip 2 cards from the hand and keep the body. And then of course, Ephemerate has rebound, so we cast it again on our next upkeep, flick a Grief one more time. That means we've ripped 3 cards from their hand, we spent 1 card to pitch to Grief, the Ephemerate, and we're left with a 3/2 body. So it's not like a 1-for-1, we actually come out on top. It's like a one, it's like we get 3 of theirs for 2.5 of ours. So that's some number, some sort of, if you know the ratio, because you're like a math scientist, put it in the comments below and you can have a virtual gold star that I won't explicitly give to you. I'll just think about it when I read the comment. This amount of like hand disruption is enough to make any critical mass of spells style combo deck shit itself with rage. We're talking Storm, Ad Nauseam, I guess even to a lesser extent things like Heliod combo. We actually got to do this in the league, and this is really one of the decks that has this nut draw that can just end games. We took 2 different cantrips from our Ad Nauseam opponent's hand in game 2 in turn 1, and then took the Thassa's Oracle Wing-Con on turn 2. We then got to deploy a Void Mirror from our sideboard to add insult to injury, attack, and then we ephemerate again on our opponent's draw step to take an Angel's Grace from their hand, and then we got one more rebound on a hot turn, which is of course unfortunately countered by the Void Mirror, some sideboard tech from us, which that kind of just really rubs in how far ahead we're getting. Then we just hard cast another Grief on turn 4 to look at our opponent. They decided to, instead of letting us look at their hand, to Ad Nauseam in desperation and died in the process. Got 'em. Honestly, Grief fucking slaps. Grief slaps so hard that reanimating it is often the right line, even in face of having a fatty. In game 3 against the same opponent, for example, I reanimated an Archon I had tutored for earlier. We had Thoughtseize to turn 1, we had Grief to turn 2, putting them on 0 cards by the end of turn 4 or 5, as they made land drop after land drop and cast a Bloom. I'd set up the Archon with a tutor, and then I reanimated because it's alluring, right? It gives us a draw, it makes them discard, it's a clock, and a clock is good. However, they untapped after we reanimated the Archon, they discarded a land to its trigger. They untap 3 cards in hand after draw step, and those 3 cards are Angel's Grace, Thassa's Oracle, and Spoil of the Vault, so they just win on the spot. And, well, yeah, I mean, the chances of them drawing all 3 parts of the combo off the top with no cantrips to set it up because they hadn't cast anything since turn 1, it's slim, right? But it's not something we can necessarily control. If I had persisted the Grief instead of the Archon, I would have had 1 instance of targeted hand attack, allowing me to dismantle the combo in some way by taking one of the 3 parts that would have been in hand at the time, and keep the game going for a bit longer. It doesn't mean I would have definitely won, but it's a clear mistake that I can learn from, and an instance of Grief being better than even the insane magic card that is Archon of Cruelty. Again, I reiterate, Grief fucking slaps. For that reason, I think this deck should be called Black-White Griefblade, in the same way that legacy decks with Death-White Shaman were often called Deathblade. Blade denotes the equipment, Death denoting the Death-White Shaman. This is Griefblade. Grief is fucking great, and Blade is the Stoneforge part. The Reanimator part is like the quiet part that people don't expect until it's too late. Anyway, I feel like I've been too serious for too long. Let's show you one of my favourite rounds from the league as well. I haven't been funny for a little while with any jokes, so here's a funny picture of me saying the word come 3 times. Come, come, come. Because come is funny. Before we show you the round against the monkey, I would just like to let you know that if you like my shit, you can check out my Patreon via the link below. There's a link where you can support me doing all this full time for just a couple of bucks a month. And that gives you access to the Discord server where we run Magic and Warhammer leagues every couple of months. We regularly hang out. I play League of Legends with patrons on Monday nights after the stream. And the higher tier can also get involved with pub quizzes with prizes, hang out with me each week. And sometimes we play Jackbox. And even less often, we actually talk about Magic in those calls. Link in the description below.
Game!
We lead with a tapped Godless Shrine and stare lovingly into the eyes of our opponent's pussy. Having not played any Modern for almost 2 weeks, it's good to see you, old friend, Lewis. And by good to see you, I mean I wish you didn't exist. He is like that co-worker that used to really wind you up when you had to sit next to them for years. The kind of co-worker who has strong opinions on the European Union and always wants to play devil's advocate on human rights issues that don't actually affect them. But after you left the shitty job, much like when Lewis got his nerf, you hardly ever have to think about them really, even though they're a daily occurrence for a while. You stumble into them in the supermarket a bit further down the line and they start to ask you how you are doing, and as they talk, you realise you aren't really listening anymore, and you're just staring blankly right into their soul, and you're thinking, thank fuck I don't have to deal with you anymore, because you really are a piece of shit. Blood Crypt shocked in, Mishra's Bauble which gets cracked, Inquisition taking our Stoneforge Mystic. Alright then. We play a land into Unmarked Grave, putting an Archon in the bin. I always go for Archon by default because the trigger for him entering the battlefield is such a huge swing, and it just feels good, honestly. Another Bauble from our opponent into a Thoughtseize taking our Ephemerate. They make a land drop and pass back, we draw Persist and bring back an Archon. They discard Thoughtseize to the Archon trigger, suggesting it was what they just drew off the Bauble because they would have used it last turn if they had an option to, well, they knew we had a removal spell, so they'd be clearing the way for the coming Lurrus. We draw flats and we pass back. They play everyone's favourite monkey, and my pick for the best card of the Modern Horizons 2 set, Douthly Voidwalker as well. Turns out Douthly Voidwalker was just okay, where the monkey was absurd. Honestly, the monkey sits in one of two camps, right? It was either not playtested at all for reasons no one can understand except the internal members of Wizards R&D, or alternatively, it was playtested or they understood how good it was, they just didn't care. They decided to release it the way it was into the world anyway. Chase rares have always existed in Magic, but being a 1 CMC mythic with this much power and a premium price set, this might just be the most egregious example of chase rares as predatory, damaging, and promoting the pay-to-win environment that Magic tries to get away from. It might be the worst version of that ever, right? This is probably the most egregious example of it. Or, at best, maybe it just makes old formats less accessible. Great. Needless to say, the monkey is a mistake on many a level. Luckily, the turn 3 monkey is no match and cannot go toe to toe with an Archon of Cruelty, so that's nice. We swing, trigger the massive Chad, and they sack the Voidwalker, discard a card, and get battered. We draw Prismatic Ending off of the Archon because it's better to be lucky than it is to be good. This is another card that's unreasonably pushed. I say unreasonably. I guess it's more so pushed in older formats where CMCs are lower, and the fact that it's sorcery speed and common or uncommon makes it a bit more reasonable than, say, the monkey. Either way, we nuke that monkey, they take a draw step, and they scoop it up. In game 2, I keep a 5-lander with a Thought Season of Voidwalker, and in hindsight, this hand doesn't do much. I am bad at Magic. We draw a second Thoughtseize after they deployed a turn 1 monkey.
I'm in danger!
We take a look-see and see Kaya's Guile, which messes with our graveyard plan, a Lightning Bolt, a Path to Exile, and Unholy Fire, which will kill the Voidwalker in hand. I take the Unholy Fire here, which is probably a mistake. Let me explain my thought process here. I think with having 1 Edict in hand, 1 Exile removal, and 2 damage-based removal as well, we're never doing much with this Voidwalker. It's just going to die, because we're never going to get rid of all these cards. So our only real out here is probably to take away the Guile to protect our graveyard, and the Path to protect a Fatty, and hope to draw into a tutor plus a reanimation spell to make a Fatty. Because otherwise this hand is just going to get ruined. Even if we draw like Stoneforge Mystic, it will just die before it deploys anything and leaves an equipment stranded in hand. So we need to be on that Fatty plan. Our opponent gets into the red zone and the monkey triggers, they get a treasure and they get to exile top card of our library and play it, which happens to be our 1 singular Mija's copy of Vindicate. And with the second land drop, they can now with 3 mana cast the Vindicate.
Not like this. Not like this.
They vindicate our solitary land, leaving us with no permanents in play, no removal in hand, and facing down an active, ramping card advantage threat, like Ragavan the fucking monkey.
This is the one thing we didn't want to happen.
There is only one appropriate reaction to this situation, which is to angrily tweet a picture of this to throw shades at Wizards of the Coast on Twitter. We draw a reanimation spell and rip Kaya's Guile from their hand. They hit us, Inquisition our reanimation spell, and use the treasure to put Loris into hand. We play a Voidwalker. They hit us with a monkey again, as Shadow can't block. So if you're about to type in the chat or the comment section, why didn't you block with that? It's because it's got Shadow. Just want to make that very clear. This has Shadow. Comment section. Jesus fucking Christ. You're still going to type it, aren't you? There's this thing when you tell the comment section not to do something, they do it anyway. Go on. Go on. I'll wait. Go on. Go type it. Why didn't you block with the void? Go on. You done? You typed it? Right. On we go. They kill the Voidwalker and cast Dolores. If you want to see what a crash course in destructive power creep looks like, look no further than this image of these two side by side. We scoop it up. In game 3, on the play, we have Stoneforge we can't cast, but we do have 2 lands, a reanimation spell, and a way to make the monkey go away from their hand with some hand attack. This means that we are live to a collective brutality, discarding this Fatty, an unmarked grave to go grab another Fatty into the bin like the Archon. Honestly, this gives us enough good top decks because a white source also unlocks Stoneforge that I think this hand, even in hindsight, is a good, worthwhile keep. We play a land, pitch a Kaya to the grief, and go fishing for a monkey. And it's at this point that we see this. You've got to be fucking kidding me. This is some kind of cruel joke, surely.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Fuck my old boots. We take away the Thoughtseize, thinking that the monkey is legendary, so them having 2 is actually a positive for us in some ways. Taking one of them away doesn't really achieve much. That said, we would now need multiple removal spells to get rid of the monkey, so taking Thoughtseize to protect our reanimation line and keep our top decks live feels like the right thing, but I'm not 100% sure. They rip an Inquisition and take our Stoneforge Mystic, which is fair, and make some of our top decks worse. We draw Voidwalker and we decide to reanimate Grief as a blocker versus a future monkey that we know is coming, and we rip away the Voidwalker from their hand to keep our reanimation open for future. They play a Channeler and a monkey and pass back. We draw Thoughtseize and play a Voidwalker. They take a moment to put Luris into their hand for 3 mana, which is... this is hard. We can get our own Pussycat. No attacks from them. We untap, Thoughtseize the Luris into exile, and then I forget what Voidwalker actually does, thinking I need to pay 3 mana to play the Luris, which is just not actually the case. So I act like a right cocky bastard and get in for 3 with the Shadow creature. Again, it can't block because it has Shadow. They attack us and we trade our Grief for the monkey. They play the second monkey that we know about. We play a 3rd land, we float a load of mana because I still don't understand what Voidwalker does in spite of making a video about it. We crack our Walker, we try to spend the mana on Luris before remembering what it actually fucking does, and then we cast the Luris. It's really funny. I literally made a video about this card, talking about how you could play an Ugin off of it on the high end of like its top ceiling. I'm a fucking idiot, I guess. Or perhaps Magic the Gathering just moves too fast to keep up with it and it's very easy to forget things. You decide. Tell me in the comment section below. When Luris is in play, we cast Stoneforge from the graveyard and we grab a Caldra. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in betwixt, this is fucking pod racing. They attack with Monkey and I just trade off my disposable Stoneforge Mystic that we can recast next turn, and, well, it just kills the monkey, right? We're monkey free, or so I was led to believe. And then, like that, like tears in the rain, like a wet fart at a funeral, and rather matter-of-factly too, our opponent just casts their 3rd fucking monkey. This is Monkeytron. The Holy Trinity. See no evil playtesting, hear no evil playtesting, speak no evil playtesting. A fucking proverbial barrel of monkeys. It is 9 monkeys short of a Bruce Willis movie. In short, this is a fucking travesty. We cast our second Stoneforge Mystic and grab a Batterskull, again out of the bin thanks to Luris. Bauble allows for some Surveil from our opponent, which enables the New Age Delver of Secret to become the 3/3 flyer. And by New Age, I mean this is just a Delver of Secrets with a throbbing chakra and a fetish for the healing power of crystals. We block Monkey with a disposable Stoneforge and take 3. We draw Grief, pitch a Voidwalker and take a peek at our opponent's hidden Blood Crypt, which does sound like an innuendo, I know. With no other options, we play another disposable Stoneforge Mystic and get in for 3, Luris having lifelink allowing us to truly stabilise and not be under too much pressure here. We know their hands, we know they need 2 kill spells, right? They gotta kill Luris, otherwise we just keep playing Stoneforge Mystics and keep gaining life, or they need to kill the Stoneforge so we don't end up making an equipment and race them. They can't race Luris plus either of the equipments realistically. They did draw a Bolt and they go for the Luris, which is sensible, otherwise we just recast the Stoneforge Mystic as a spare body anyway. They surveil a demon thing to the bin, the Scourge of the whatchamacallit, and they get in for 3. We make a Caldra and we get in, taking them to 3. They Kaya's Guile during combat. They gain 4 life, they make a sack a creature, which is going to be a Stoneforge Mystic, and they make a 1/1 Spirit. Now, we go to 7 here, which means we are dead to an attack for 4, which is the 1/1 Spirit plus the Dragon Mage Channeler, and a Bolt. We go to combat, attack, they do nothing, they go to 2. They are relying on the Bolt off the top to kill us. Now, we annoyingly have drawn Liliana here, which will kill the 1/1 flyer. It costs us 1 life to do this though, due to the silent clearing, still putting us dead to a lightning bolt either way, or some unforeseen hasty 3 mana damage threat that I can't think of. We still do it anyway because the Liliana clears the spirit off the board and gives us a planeswalk in case the game somehow continues. We clench our arseholes and pass the turn back. Our bumholes are super fucking tight right now. They used to be, my chocolate starfish at this point was the circumference of a 50p piece, but it's now so tight as a 5p piece. That is a comment and a joke I have not made on this channel in a long time. We take our hands off the keyboard, we put them in the air. Join me, you sluts, go on. Pull back now, hands in the air like you just don't care. Success! We got there. No bolts. No random lava spike, no 3 damage hasty thing. 1 time dealer, and we got it. We beat triple monkey, due mostly to the power of Doughty Voidwalker, honestly, grabbing that Lurrus, which now confirms that Doughty Voidwalker is the best card in Modern Horizons 2. Get fucked, MTG Finance. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it at least mildly informative or entertaining. If you enjoyed this, like I said, there is a Patreon link down below. Check that out. For just $2 a month, you can get involved with the Discord server and help support me to continue making videos like this. These ones take a lot of time and effort to make compared to some of the more talking head stuff I do. Thanks for watching. Smash that like button. Don't forget to tell me in the comment section below what the math was in that bit where I could be bothered to get a calculator. Or just tell me how fucking beautiful I am. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.